Good, thanks. How are you?
Good, thanks. Well, thanks again for taking the time to speak with me today. I appreciate it.
No, you're
It's all
welcome.
right. Thanks for talking to us.
Okay, so I wanted to get started asking about the development of the script overall and what that process was like of really getting the story together and just working on the script overall.
The script was written originally by a writer, screenwriter, a friend of mine called Matthew White. He sent it to me in about 2010, I think, and we kicked it around for a number of years. We were looking to make a feature, and we'd done a bunch of stuff before, so we kind of developed, and then I was working with the producer, Finn, who I sent it to at that point because we had another project on the go that was becoming bigger than I think we were able to produce. And poor dude felt like the right thing, and then we did another couple of drafts. We did a kind of writer's workshop. We got another writer in Brooke who did a pass on it. And then, we sort of had a script where we went into production, and then with the cast that were attached to it, we're going to do the film. I spoke to each of them about various sort of things and answered questions and went away and rewrote a bit. And on set, we were able to then explore a bit of improvisation around some of the dialogue. I think that's it in a nutshell.
And then also, I wanted to ask you, Tom, about becoming attached to star in the film and what that experience was like of becoming attached and what you really liked about your character overall as well.
Sure. So I had, I first actually met Nick. I can't remember the date, but we were filming another sort of comedy horror by Ben Wheatley called ShockYa's, and I had a tiny bit in that, and Nick was shooting that as well, helping shoot, and I chopped the head off a chicken, and I distinctly remember Nick sort of shooting that scene. Anyway, that's when I first met him, and then I worked with Nick on his first feature called Tank 432. With Finn as well, and that was their first go at it, and they just asked me, like, sort of a few years ago, Nick said, "Oh, I've got this other idea, and I've got you in mind," and I just went, "Okay, cool," sort of not necessarily believing that it would happen, and then he got in touch, and it was just all suddenly going, and it's very exciting. Obviously, it's very flattering to be asked to be a lead in a film, and I felt very lucky, and I sort of hope I sort of repaid that faith, because it doesn't happen, or it hasn't happened to me that often, a couple of times to be a lead, and so I relished it. I absolutely loved it. It's a brilliant thing to do, and just the part itself is just a lot of fun and has quite a lot of different layers to it, and the journey of a character to start off quite sort of sweet and naive, really, and be very loving to his mother, and then to kind of have this sort of midpoint where he turns and potentially goes very dark, although he doesn't ever quite get that dark, him personally, but he treads the line, and could easily have been a very different story if he'd actually murdered those people. So it's it was a gift, and I'm very grateful for it, and I'm very pleased.
And also, Nick, I wanted to ask you about directing the film as well, and what that experience was like of putting the film together and really directing overall throughout production.
Well, it was a lot of fun. I'm lucky to be able to make films, and I do it for a living, and it's a lot of work. There really is a lot of hard work, and you lean on a cast and you lean on a crew, and I guess I approached it in a way that if all of these characters were social media people, they would be a bit larger than life. We'd see their version of it, and I started, that point with sort of character and look and things like that. But we really did have such a huge cast. There's a lot of actors with lots of questions and things like that. So it was about kind of budgeting my own time, I think. And kind of in my own head, we had a schedule which, like any any low budget feature film, was fairly demanding. You almost never get enough time. So it was just working out how long we really needed for each bit and making sure that people got enough time. And we had a very, very patient and lovely crew. They all worked tirelessly. The weather in the film was quite touch and go. Some days it was very sunny, some days it's raining, and just like any day in the UK, really. But I had the best time. I really loved doing it, and it really was a lot of fun to make this one.
So speaking of the rest of the cast, I also wanted to ask about that process of bringing the other actors on board and just the casting in general for the rest of the film.
Well, I mean, as you know, Tom had touched on, we'd worked together. Tom was, our first choice. I thought, wow, this is perfect for Tom Meeten. We've done quite a few things together where Tom, he's a fantastic character actor, very chameleon-esque, but a very, very lovely guy as well, and a very hardworking guy. So I thought this is perfect. And then a few other actors that I'd worked with before, or friends of friends and things like that we'd approached and pitched the film to. We had a sort of wish list, and funnily came true. I think 90% of it came true. And then we worked with a casting agent, ET Casting, who helped bring together a lot of the other smaller parts in the film, which are all equally as important. And we just ended up with this huge amount of talent. So it was, it was really good.
And also, I wanted to ask about also working together, as well as with the other actors, and really building the characters, and what that process was like. Of if you maybe had any rehearsal time, or just in general, really building up the characters' arcs throughout the film.
Well, we didn't have loads of rehearsal time. Me and Nick managed to do a few days, and we because of the premise of having the dude cam, we called it, where he films himself. We could do quite a lot of that filming and practice and rehearse some of that stuff. So we managed to build the character, and I felt quite confident of where we got to. But in terms of with other actors and me and other actors, we didn't really have much time other than sort of on the day pre about to shoot. But the joy, I mean, it seemed to work, but the joy of it really, I think, came from Nick's sort of Nick's fun on the day, and I think that sort of rubbed off on everyone. And there was a lot of encouragement to improvise. So as soon as you bring that into an element, I think people, on the whole, people have a brilliant time, because you're just sort of, you're making it, particularly in a comedy, you're making each other laugh a lot. And I was in the privileged position of having all these brilliant people sort of popping in and being hilarious, that I just spent a lot of the time laughing, which is a very nice life to have, isn't it? To spend most of your time laughing. So yeah, from my point of view, I love the way Nick set it up, and the to be able to improv and gives that freedom and the faith of that was joy.
And also, speaking about the visual shooting style of the film, I also wanted to also ask about that experience and working with your cinematographer and really creating the look for the film overall as
well. The director of photography, cinematographer, is a guy called Billy J. Jackson, who worked with lots in the past, so I knew he'd bring a lot of fun to it. But also, like, his influences are very visual, and I always wanted the film to be not the visual, not hugely polished. And I think you can kind of polish these things a bit too much sometimes. And I think with the elements of the dude cam and Paul's POV and phone footage and social media and kind of news footage that we had in the film, I wanted something that would all fit together. So primarily it's shot handheld. I think we used a slider, like a tracking shot. We used that like once in the film. We've got some drone footage, which again, there was news helicopters and things like that. So it was all, as a starting point, it was all based on if this was a real thing that was happening, which would be awful. I think, being as an outsider watching this unfold, then you would probably watch it on the news. So there was a lot of that sort of influence that went into it.
Also, I wanted to ask about the action sequences in the film and really creating that stunt work throughout the production as well overall.
I mean, there's a lot of VFX, SFX that we did. Tristan Versluis and Colin J. Smith. Tristan did the practical effects on set and Colin did the post-production effects. So there's a lot of stuff where we did practical effects, and the steamroller, for example, was a real steamroller, had it moving, Tom drove it. From time to time it wasn't moving because it was, we had to consider health and safety and whatnot, things like that. So there's a lot of work that went into that, I think.
And also, I wanted to ask about creating the look and the style for Tom, your character's look overall as well, and the costumes and what that experience was like of just deciding how you wanted him to look throughout the film as well overall.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's sort of in the script as well. Like a lot of these things with the sort of sequin and that glam rock look. And I know that Nick was sort of influenced by Bowie, and yeah, and there. But I didn't. That still doesn't prepare you for stepping into a green sequined all-in-one outfit. so and it was transformative, really. Especially I love the way within the story that the green number with the red lightning is orange lightning is sort of hidden from the audience until that finale, and there was that helps, you know. And I still wore it underneath for the other scenes, and it does make you feel different, and it does make you feel spectacular when you reveal it. So that was, yeah, I did really enjoy it. I mean, some of the, you know, yeah, and a lot of that is designed by a brilliant costume designer, Jasmina Knox. That's right, isn't it, Nick?
Jasmine Knox, yeah, Jasmine Ada Knox.
Knox. Oh, yeah,
that's right.
Knox. Yeah, it's right. So yeah, I loved wearing sequins. I'm not going to wear them now in real life, but I did enjoy them at the time.
And also, I wanted to ask about bringing the film to South by Southwest and having the movie's world premiere there, and what that experience has been like of really preparing for the festival screening as well overall.
I mean, it's truly wonderful. It's a really special thing to have our film play at South by Southwest. It's its world premiere, and I think what a brilliant place to have that. And I've always dreamt of going to the festival, and one day definitely will. And you know, the irony this year is we can't go because we need to keep safe and whatnot. So I think the online festival is, I mean, it's been fantastic so far. There's been a lot of communication, and we all have our pages on the festival and whatnot. And I think it's just a new platform and way of viewing films. And the most important thing about a film is that people get to watch it. And this makes it really special for us.
Okay, I think that was mainly it, but thank you both again for taking the time out today. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Karen.
Thanks, Karen.
Thanks
Have a
again.
lovely day.
You too.
Thanks, Karen. Have